97% of mobile detailers will never break $10,000 per month. And it's not because they're bad at detailing or don't have the experience, but because they're missing one thing in their business. I spent the last week taking apart one of the few detailers who are actually doing it right to figure out exactly what that one thing is. And here's what I found. So this is Renowned Detailing. He is a mobile detailer in Kansas City with over 110,000 followers and 500 plus reviews. So I spent the last week pulling apart every single inch of their business, from their funnel to their system to every single post and every single step. And the one question I was trying to solve is, what is their system? And I found out that every real detailer that are actually doing numbers uses this system. So let's break it down. So when it comes to their posts, they aren't built off of one thing, and that's what most detailers are struggling with, is that slow, inconsistent word of mouth. They are building a brand, a story, and relatability. But that's what you just see on the top from their content. But they broke this down into three parts. So we have acquisition, nurturing, and retention. Most people think marketing is first, but marketing is all three. So first, let's take a look at their acquisition funnel. So their social media. So they are using TOF content that is broad and relatable. So what this is doing is that's hitting a viewer's psychological flow that I'll get into later into the video. And they use the interest of the viewer to make the viewer feel like they are already a customer and of their car already being detailed that is shown in their social media. But that also makes them feel that they need a detail as well. So by putting them into that dream state of their car being detailed on social media, it makes them want a detail. And this state is fragile and it decays very fast. So when you go over to their link tree, like I am a viewer, they have their website, they have a client booking software, and then they have their product. So is this a converter or is it not? Because they have a website and a booking page, and that's okay. But they're also using this as a converter for detailers and not very much clients. So when they actually get to the booking page, they have a free quote, and that is a lead magnet that a lot of detailers use, and this is a no commitment door for the prospect. So the viewer didn't pay, the viewer didn't commit, they are giving them value, and in return they are getting something back. So Renowned is giving them value of this free quote, and that triggers an unspoken debt that the client feels obligated to repay them back with. Then their actual booking is becoming frictionless. After that locks in the interest before it cools down, like I said, with the state being fragile, there is no DM delay, no I'll think about it, and nothing to give doubt the chance to creep into the sale. So that's why when you establish trust, value, and information, the booking becomes frictionless. So now we have the psychological flow that I was talking about, and this happens every single time somebody scrolls past their content and just content in general. So, how does this work? So, this is how the viewer feels once they start to get that curiosity and interest. They feel entertained, they start trusting the content. They get low risk curiosity, and that means they're going to press on the profile, dive deeper into it. Then they start to imagine ownership as their car being detailed, and then they get committed, right? And the system's only job here is to not break that chain. And this is what you need to understand if you're trying to get passive income coming in. This is how every viewer goes from just being a viewer to all the way to being an actual client. Now, in the next part of the funnel, we have nurturing. And this is where 90% of detours actually leak. And right when you get onto the website, this is what you see. So you see, get a free quote today. And this captures their full name, their phone number, their email, and what service the viewer would like. And what this is a lead magnet and a lead nurturing system built into one. And what it does is this captures the visitors who aren't ready to book yet or drop a deposit, but who are curious enough to click in from a reel. So instead of letting them browse and leave with zero contact info, they trade a free quote for the lead. So even a non converting visit becomes a lead. And why this works is this because it fires instantly on the curiosity while it is still hot. So before the visitor gets distracted, before they scroll, before they second guess anything, every lead gets walked through the five stages already, which is going to be entertained, trusting, low risk curiosity, imagining ownership, and then convinced. That's what I talked about with the psychological flow. So by the time they fill out the form, the customer already feels like they booked with them. And so this person just gave their full name, their phone number, their email. So, what happens next? And this is what shapes your business from a side hustle to a full scale business. And say you did start nurturing instead of just leaving money on the table. This is the four pillars of nurturing that you need to know. So, first, we have the first 48 hours. So, this is what they're going to decide within those 48 hours. Is this a real business or is this something that they just try once? And when you miss this window, you are forgotten next week already. Next, we have you make them feel VIP. So as a detailer, you are the customer service, you are the sales, you are the detailer, everything in the business. So one happy customer equals three new ones, and that's for free because they're gonna go out and they're gonna show that to everybody. So the next one is going to be when you go quiet, you get forgotten. So this is going to ruin your positioning. And when people want a detail, they want it for their own reasons. Some is the same and some are different. So when you lose that initial interest of why they're actually looking to book, you already lost the booking. So that's why you can't go quiet. And finally, we have the rebook is the real money. So the first job is the expensive part. It's always harder to get your first client than your 100th client. So the next two, three, four jobs, that's going to be free money for you because you already established and got through that first barrier. So not going back for this is just leaving cash on the table. So next in their funnel, they have retention. And lead nurturing and retention go hand in hand. So what this is a monthly car detailing subscription, like most of you guys already have, which are just monthly maintenance deals. And this turns a one-time customer into predictable repeating revenue. So instead of hoping a client books again in 3 months, the payment, the appointment, everything is locked in every single month. And this is the hardest thing for any detailer to do. It's getting bookings and also keeping those clients, so having predictable and repeating revenue. And this is what every detailer is chasing. So I want you to think about this from the customer side, right? Their car got a flawless detail, and 3 weeks later, it's dirty. But when they're reminded, they are going to come back and they've already watched the content, they booked, and they were reminded. So when the subscription gets offered after those 3 weeks, it doesn't feel like a sale anymore. It feels like the obvious next step. And that's going to be the easiest yes in this entire industry of detailing. So that's going to be the power of reoccurring revenue. It's one yes forever because once you get through that initial boundary, it's easy from there. That's the best way to put it. But here's the problem. With every good thing, there always comes a bad thing, right? So the client thinks one detail is enough, a client doesn't acknowledge the reoccurring details, and the offer is only made once and then forgotten. These three things are all in your control. So saying that you don't have a leak or saying that you don't know how to do this, these things are all in your control. So this is the gap that you're seeing now. But think about what you have in your attainable right now. So you have the skill, you want to grow, but you stop at one client. So here's what's actually missing specifically: an automated follow up sequence, a check in, a message, a reminder of how good it looked, and just a nudge to bring that person back into that dream state so that that yes becomes always. So now looking at the full circle of renowned detailing structure, they already have the acquisition, they have the nurturing, and they have the retention. But this isn't for renowned detailing. This is for you. Because renowned detailing already has a system. They don't need another system. But you're watching this video because you need a system. And their system isn't cookie cutter, and no business is. So let's find your problem first, and then we build a system around it. So I want you to take a look at this little score sheet, right? So I want you to tick off the things that you already have in your business. We have content that funnels into leads. You have new leads every week. You reply in under 5 minutes. You follow up 4 times. Your schedule is staying full, and clients rebook on their own. And most detours are only going to tick one or two of these things. And that's because they haven't found the gap. So every single time you're looking for a gap, but you don't know what's wrong in your business, you go straight to this: I have a lead problem. You don't have a lead problem, you have a leak overall. So that's why systems don't break and people do. That's why you haven't been able to identify it. So that's why when you build a system once, it's forever. So this is the system, right? Here's where every detailing business leaks: attention, inbox, quick reply, you follow up, booked, and retention. And one of these is yours, right? Maybe nobody knows you exist. Maybe leads come in, but you reply hours later. Maybe they book once and you never see them again. Whichever one it is, that's a lead. And that's why this whole video, I showed you how to cover the leak. Now, the only thing that can be done now is to take action because systems don't break, you do. And that's why you're stuck. So that's why these big detailing companies, you think that they work harder, but they don't work harder. They just run a system. And that's why every six-figure detailer has been able to build something through a system. And that's why you can never identify it. But here it is. They just don't work harder, they run a system. The detailers doing 20K, 30K, and even $50,000 per month aren't better than you. They have just plugged this leak, and every one of them is running this exact loop. I've spent the last year mapping these systems for mobile detailers, the same six pieces, the same leaks in the same spots. And if you want me to audit your business the same way I just audited Renowned Detailings and find your specific leak, show you exactly what to plug in, book a call with me. The link's in the description, and I'll see you guys there.